Look at this 19th-century medical laboratory. In the 1840s, the American medical establishment operated under a strict, unwritten rule of male exclusivity. The concept of a female physician was viewed by the institutions of the time as a scandalous absurdity. Elizabeth Blackwell grew up in an environment that prepared her to challenge that exact type of structural exclusion. Raised in Bristol, England, and later the United States, her family was deeply involved in abolitionism. They insisted on equal academic standards for all their children, teaching Elizabeth that oppressive systems required direct confrontation. When she decided to pursue a medical degree, the gatekeepers of the profession offered her an insulting ultimatum. She was told she could work informally as a nurse, or if she insisted on practicing medicine, she must disguise herself as a man. She rejected the disguise. Blackwell argued that entering the profession through a side door of deception would validate the exact prejudice keeping women out. Acquiring a medical license held no value to her if the price of admission was her own erasure. She demanded to be accepted as a woman, or not at all. The medical establishment responded with a coordinated strategy of attrition. Across the Northeast, faculties erected a blockade of rejections designed to exhaust her resolve. Between 1845 and 1847, she applied to 29 different medical schools. She received 28 consecutive rejections. These rejections rarely cited her academic qualifications. Instead, they relied on the prevailing social consensus that it was highly improper for a woman to study the human body. Rather than accepting defeat, Blackwell treated this data as evidence of a failing system. She took her 29th application and sent it to a small rural institution in upstate New York, Geneva Medical College. The establishment expected their wall of rejections to force her surrender. She used it as a map to find the weakest point in their defense. When her application arrived at Geneva, the faculty hesitated. Unwilling to take responsibility for rejecting her directly, they deferred the decision to the all-male student body. The students were given a choice: admit her or reject her. Assuming the application was a prank from a rival school, they voted unanimously to accept her, treating the prospect of a female classmate as a punchline. The joke ended in November 1847. Elizabeth Blackwell finally arrived on campus, walked in, and quietly took her seat. The laughter died instantly. The atmosphere inside the lecture hall turned to cold scrutiny, while townspeople in Geneva openly speculated that the new student was insane. A unanimous vote cast to mock the idea of a female doctor had accidentally provided the exact platform needed to prove them wrong. This is a 19th-century surgical kit. Professors routinely hesitated to lecture on anatomy or use these specific tools to teach the human frame while a woman was in the room. Blackwell answered this hostility with total academic discipline. She sat in the front row every single day, quietly outworking the doubt of her peers. Her sheer competence made it impossible to maintain the initial outrage. As she consistently posted top marks, the isolation thawed into begrudging respect. On January 23, 1849, the academic blockade broke. Elizabeth Blackwell graduated first in her class, officially becoming America's first female doctor of medicine. By excelling in a system designed to reject her, she proved that the establishment's resistance was based on bias, not a deficit in her ability. Securing a diploma was an academic victory, but it did not guarantee a livelihood. Blackwell immediately collided with a new barrier, the professional lockout. The medical world remained a closed fortress. Existing hospitals and clinics completely barred her from practicing medicine or performing surgery in their wards. She realized that fighting for entry into these legacy institutions would only result in isolated token positions. That approach would do nothing for the women who followed her. If the medical establishment refused to let her in, she would construct a new power structure that bypassed them entirely. A title holds little weight if you do not control the physical infrastructure required to exercise its power. This fundraising poster documents the solution. In 1857, alongside her sister Emily and Dr. Marie Zakrzewska, she founded the New York Infirmary for Women and Children, a functional hospital staffed exclusively by women. The infirmary delivered critical medical care to the city's poorest residents. More importantly, it created a self-sustaining training ground for female doctors to practice without male oversight. Her method crossed the Atlantic. She mentored Elizabeth Garrett Anderson, who used that guidance to become Britain's first female physician, establishing a global network of medical pioneers. The reality she fought to establish in 1847 is now the standard. Today, women make up more than half of all medical school students in the United States. When the establishment refuses to open its doors, true progress is earned by building your own.